So I don't remember if I shared this slide last week, but so I mentioned that the 4 verses, the reason they're called Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, because they give the entire expanse of the bhakti process. Okay. So the 3 things: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. Right. So what is that? First of all, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prajana. Mahaprabhu explains that to us in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. I have the verse here. The Sambandha, as the word Sambandha tells us, is relationship. Right. Then Abhideya is the process, acting in that way, acting in devotional service. Okay. And then the Prayojana is prema, attainment of love of Krishna. That is the goal of life. So that is Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. The 4 verses that we did, they explain these aspects to us in detail. 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I'm not going to go into the verses, but I just wanted to bring this back up again. Okay. Okay, I think this we did last week. Yes, let's get back to our. Anything that anybody remembers what we did from last week? Anything that caught your attention? Nothing caught your attention?
I definitely like definitely Chatusloki is the summarization of entire Bhagavad Gita, right? And I try to memorize one odd sloka in that. Definitely the first one. Aham sarvasya prabhu mata sarvam pravartate iti mata sarvajante ma bhokta bhava sabhanvita. So just trying to summarize what I understood in the last 4 verses. So in the first verse 8, Krishna is trying to say that he's the source of everything, both material and spiritual, and he's the supreme controller and the person who understands this from a bona fide spiritual master, and he takes the guidance and the shelter of the Vedic literature. He's a truly qualified and a learned man, and then that is the summarization, I guess, for the verse 8 and verse 9. He says these are the person who engage themselves completely and fully in the devotional service, the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And these pure devotees, in the verse 10, Krishna says, to these pure devotees, he gives them the real knowledge to come to him. That is the Buddhi Yoga he talks about in detail in verse 10. And the verse 11, Krishna explains about the super soul feature of him. He says to these people, the Paramatma residing in the heart of everybody, but these pure devotees who understand that this real truth, to them he takes out all the ignorance that is there and gives them the light of knowledge. So that was, I guess, the summarization of ingest for these 4 verses.
Thank you. That's a good summary there. Yeah. And okay, anybody else? Any thoughts? Anything you remember from the last discussion? If not, we can jump forward. Okay, let's just start with this then. So now Arjuna is going to start speaking. And this is an important verse. Prabhupada has clubbed both these verses together. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages, such as Narad, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me." So Arjuna has been silent for a very long time. And last he spoke was in the beginning of the 8th chapter. Kim tad brahma, kim adhyatam, kim karma purushottam, adi bhutam cha kim prokta, adi devam kim uchyate. He asked 8 questions. So now Arjun is appreciating what he has been hearing since this point. And how does he appreciate? He's saying that Krishna, you're the source of everything. He's saying that Krishna, you said you're the source of everything. Sadhus are also saying the same thing, right? So this is a very interesting verse. So there are three aspects that Arjuna is talking about. Sorry. So there is three R's here to remember. So there is divine revelation coming from Krishna. There is saintly reiteration, saints saying the same thing, so they're reiterating the same fact. And then there is Arjun's personal realization. Three R's that we are talking about here. So how is Arjun's faith being nourished? He's mentioning in this verse, right? His divine revelation, saintly reiteration, and personal realization. Right? So faith is a very precious asset on the path of spiritual progress, right? So our faith is also nourished when revelations come from Krishna. You all must have had revelations coming from Krishna from that oh, do your service this way or improve upon it this way. We've always had that. You could have, our faith has also been nourished by reiteration, by hearing from great saintly teachers. And then the realization that we get ourselves when we apply their teachings in our life, right? So there's a trajectory of faith growth, which is evident in the Bhagavad Gita's flow, right? So Krishna is giving the essential message, and he just gave the essential message from 10:48 to 11.
खाना बना दिया वैसे मैंने.
So after hearing these verses, Arjuna is clearly declaring that he accepts Krishna as the highest spiritual reality, right? Which we see in Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhu. You're the Supreme Personality, you're the ultimate abode, you're the purest, you're the absolute truth. So in the 12th verse, he's accepting Krishna to be the highest spiritual reality. Then in 13th verse, in the second part, he's indicating that his faithful acceptance of this truth comes not just from Krishna's divine revelation, but it also comes from what the other saintly teachers have said. And whom is he naming? He's naming Narad, Asita, Devala, Vyasa. So Krishna also mentioned in the second verse of the 9th chapter that spiritual knowledge is verifiable by one's own experience. So Arjuna is taking steps towards such verification after understanding the Gita in the four verses in a nutshell, right? So Krishna has heard this in the past in this 10th chapter that devotees delight in discussing Krishna's glory. That was in the 9th verse of the Chatushloki, the second verse of the Chatushloki. And Arjuna seeks a similar taste by asking Krishna to speak his glories. That will come later on. So there are three aspects that are being discussed in this verse. I just wanted to highlight that, right? So there are sadhus that have confirmed this. There is his own personal realization, and Krishna is also mentioning this. Now, Devala and Asita, they are very important sages. Devala and Asita were present when Krishna came to Kurukshetra to do his there was a solar eclipse where he met the Vrajvasis also, and the Vrajvasis were asking him to come back to Vrindavan, right? So they were also, Devala and Asita were there also. And Devala and Asita, so they are very old, but they're not just old in age, but they're also old in wisdom. They are Gyan Vridha. Vridha in Hindi means old, but here they are Gyan Vridha. They are old because of the wisdom they have attained, right? So their conclusion about truth and the practice, the spiritual practice, is considered most important. Devala is also the elder brother of who is that? Dhaumya. Dhaumya was the priest of Pandavas. So Devala is the elder brother of Dhaumya. In the 11th canto, in one of the 16th chapter, there is a verse where Krishna says that Devala is a dhira. So Krishna is saying that out of all the dhiras, Devala is the dhira. And we also hear that word that in Ishopanishad also we hear this discussion that iti sushruma dhirana yenas tad vichachakshare, that we should hear from dhiranams, right? We should gain such knowledge from dhiras. So that is why Devala and Asita are being mentioned here. So I just wanted to give you a context around where are these names coming from. Narada, we all are familiar with. Who is Narada? He's the original journalist. He takes information from one place to another. You know, he's across material world, spiritual world. He can go anywhere he wants, and he provides information in the right place on the right occasion. We have seen that across Bhagavatam. Yeah. Kansa was thinking of not killing the 6 sons of Devaki, not killing the 6 sons of Devaki. But then Narada Muni comes there. He says, "What if Krishna is tricking you? Instead of coming as the 8th child, he might come as the 2nd child." So he tells Kamsa, "Don't spare any child." And now there is a lot of history behind that. That Narada wanted to expedite the whole process, and then also these 6 sons who were born, they were in the last life they had asked Narada Muni to so that they could come out of this material misery quickly. So to help them leave this material world as soon as possible. So Narada Muni comes and adds on that information. But just what I was saying is that Narada Muni comes everywhere. In Krishna book, there is one of his stories I like very much, where Aniruddha and Usha. There's a story of Aniruddha and Usha. Usha is the daughter of Banasur. Aniruddha is the grandson of Krishna. And Usha's friend, I think her name was Chitralekha. Usha's friend, she kidnaps Aniruddha and brings her to the palace of Usha. So there is a lot. So everybody back in Dwarka, they're looking for Aniruddha. Where did he go? They've been searching for him, but nobody knows. So then Narada comes. So he says, "I'll tell you where he is. Banasura and Aniruddha are fighting. You go and save him." So Narada Muni is a very exalted and extraordinary devotee of Lord. So we all know who's Vyasa. So yeah, so three aspects, but Arjun is confirming the same information from. So he's backing up his claim from Sadhu and Shastra. Right. So Arjun became free from all doubts after hearing this Chaturshloki, and he's declaring this fact. This means that the best way to eradicate our doubts is through submissive hearing. And Krishna has mentioned that to us, that anasuya way. That was the verse that Krishna uses in the first verse of the 9th chapter. That because you are anasuya, you are not envious of me, that is why you can hear. So Arjun was submissive. That is how all his doubts were eradicated. So that's what we all should do if we want to have our doubts eradicated. Hear submissively either from a sadhu or directly from Krishna through, we have Bhagavad Gita. We have sadhus like Prabhupada who have translated Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam for us. So, and also focus on our realizations. I've mentioned this many times in the past. We should document all our realizations because they come very handy when things are not going the way we want to in our lives. Then we can always go back and refer to those. We should all have a repository of our realizations. They serve as motivational thoughts. You can always go back and start thinking, 2 years ago, I was here. That's when I wrote this. This is what I was thinking. And this can automatically uplift our thoughts. Okay? So that's so realization happens that way. That's how realization is valuable. So let's see what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. Okay. Here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements in these 2 verses. This is called the Parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literatures, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. So we can only understand Bhagavad Gita when we are listening submissively and through the disciplic succession. Otherwise, it will not change our heart. We can do a lot of sadhana, but the outcome of our sadhana is softening of our heart. And if that softening doesn't happen, surely there is a major flaw in my sadhana. Okay. That is why we should also, as I was saying, we should be very, very vigilant about our thoughts, about our realizations. They will tell you, are you progressing? What kind of realizations you are having? How much is your interest increasing in service? Right? How much are we endeavoring to understand Prabhupada's mission? Not my mission, Prabhupada's mission. Right? So those things start happening, and that kind of information starts to blossom within our heart and mind, and that's an indication that our sadhana is bringing out some changes in our life. Okay, let's go to 14. So for the next, I think 4 or 5 verses, Arjun is going to continue glorifying this thought process that he has. So this is 14. Yes. Oh Krishna, I totally accept as truth that all that you have told me, neither the demigods nor the demons, oh Lord, can understand your personality. Right. So there are 2 points in this verse. First is that Krishna, I accept what you say. Okay, and I also acknowledge that it is not easy to understand you. 2 things Arjun is highlighting. That I accept truth as all that you have said, but then I also understand that it is not possible to understand you. We just have to accept it, what Krishna is telling us. So when we accept Krishna, it is not that we have to understand everything what Krishna has said. There'll be some things which we'll not be able to understand. So rather than saying it is false, we just suspend our judgment about it. So what I'm trying to say is don't expect that we will understand everything that we read in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. That's not going to happen. Well, it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but at this moment, it might not be happening because my consciousness is not purified. So what do? Is I just read it and I leave it to Krishna to give me the knowledge and wisdom to understand what is there. So that is a more humble attitude to have. Right? So certain things require purification in us to understand them. So till the time that purification comes, we suspend our judgment about them. So Arjun is saying that I accept what you said, but even Devtas cannot understand it. So Prabhupada talks of a logic, and I don't know if you have come across Prabhupada across his books. He talks of different kinds of nyaya. So nyaya in English means logic. Different kinds of nyaya he talks about. So one nyaya that Prabhupada talks about is Ardha Kukur nyaya, which is the half hen logic. Right? So as the story goes, there was a hen that used to lay golden eggs. So the farmer who had that hen thought that if I cut off the head of the hen, I won't have to feed the hen, but I'll still keep on getting golden eggs. So we don't have that attitude towards the scriptures, right? So we take everything, we read everything. It's not that I take only parts of it. No, that doesn't work, right? So I remember, I think I read it somewhere. There was a Christian talk, and one person said that I accept Jesus, but I'm not a part of any church. And then somebody asked him that, why don't you go to a church then? He says, oh, there is no church that goes with my understanding of Jesus. So it is very much like saying that I'm a patient, but I'm not taking the treatment. Why? Because I did not find any doctor that agrees with my diagnosis. Is that way? So whether doctor is supposed to agree with the patient diagnosis, or it has supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be the other way around, right? So that's the concept that Prabhupada tells us, that we should not do that. So that's what is being highlighted, that there are things that I don't understand, but that doesn't mean I remove them from my from that knowledge. Or this cannot be true. I cannot understand it, so it doesn't make sense. So we don't do that. Arjun is setting an example how to listen to Vedic knowledge, accepting everything in total. right? Nothing here is false. It's not a speculation of anybody. It's not an exaggerated claim. The thing is that I'm not purified enough to understand it yet. So that's the way we should look at everything, right? So here in this verse, Krishna is being called as Keshava. Where is that verse? Is it Keshava? Keshava. Yes, Krishna is being called as Keshava here. Right? So why Keshava? Because even in the midst of the battle, Arjun is still attracted by the beauty of Krishna. This is our acharyas explain this, that Arjun so Arjun is looking at Krishna's beautiful hair. The Keshava means the one with the dark hair. So even in the midst of this, the chaos that's happening, Arjun is attracted by Krishna's beauty. And then Krishna, and one more important thing about here, for the first time, Arjun is calling Krishna as Bhagavan. Till now, he's not mentioned that. So that's another important. So this is the outcome of understanding Bhagavad Gita in the Chatur Shloki. Now now Arjun is fully confident. He's fully sure that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is why now he's addressing him as Bhagavan. Okay. So Krishna is all attractive. So Arjun is saying, who can know you, Krishna? So your revelation is not even understood by Devas. So now that might come as a question, right? Okay, we can understand demons not knowing Krishna. But then what does it mean demons don't know him? So I think Prabhupada mentions this in the purport somewhere. Let me see. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjun has understood that the Supreme Truth is Krishna and that he is the perfect one. So only by the grace of Krishna can we understand anything. That is why Arjun is saying, Vidur Deva na Danava. Vidur means no, Deva is demigod, Danava is demon. So that is why we cannot understand Krishna, because it's only by Krishna's mercy that we can know him. It's not the other way around. That's why it's called Krishna's causeless mercy. Right? So and then the purport, Prabhupada the thrust is about disciplic succession. Prabhupada is saying that parampara system of disciplic succession. So Prabhupada is giving that as a thrust here. Right? So not by any other means, but by disciplic succession. So how do we know Gita's meaning? Through disciplic succession. So if we let Bhagavad Gita speak itself, it is very clear that Krishna is the absolute truth and devotional service to him is the best means to achieve Krishna. That's the way it's been understood, being explained to us here. 15, what is this? Swayam evatmanatmanam vettitvam purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. So Arjun continues to glorify Krishna. And here he's saying 5 things. There are 5 words that Krishna is using for Krishna. Arjun is using for Krishna. Purushottama, Bhuta Bhavana, Bhutesha, Deva Deva, Jagatpate. 5 things. Right? So Purushottama means, O greatest of all persons. Bhuta Bhavana, origin of everything. Bhutesha, Lord of everything. Deva Deva, Lord of the demigods. Jagatpate, Lord of the entire universe. So Arjun is 5 objectives to glorify Krishna. Okay. So in short, Arjun is giving a summary of Bhagavad Gita, right? In the last line, in the last 2 lines, this one, Bhuta Bhava Bhutesha Deva Deva Jagatpate. So we read across Bhagavad Gita, right? 2nd chapter was about Atma Tattva, I am a soul. 3rd was Karma Yoga. 4th was transcendental knowledge, application of transcendental knowledge. 5th is again Karma Yoga. So 6th was about yogis. So the last 2 lines of this verse, they are giving a summary of what Arjun has understood till now. Right? And how does one understand it? Swayam. Swayam means personally. only by Krishna's knowledge. Right? It's personally here, Swayam is the word is being used for Krishna. So only known by Swayam. Swayam evatmanatmanam. Swayam. No one knows. It's only by Krishna knows. How does Krishna do all this? So you can even look at it from like for example, Prabhupada. Right? Have you ever wondered how Prabhupada was able to do all what he has done? 80 books, 108 temples, 5,000 disciples. Only Prabhupada knows. It's practically impossible for us to understand how Prabhupada did that. Right? But if we submissively approach Prabhupada with humility and we beg him, Prabhupada can enlighten us how to push this mission forward. He can speak from within our heart. We have so many different avenues which we are pushing forward. Prasadam distribution, preaching, book distribution, temples, deity worship, so much. So Prabhupada from within our heart, Krishna from within our heart can give us the knowledge. I cannot understand how to push this movement forward. I don't have that intelligence. But as was told earlier, from my own realizations, from divine revelation, I can understand this. So how did Prabhupada do that? So I read about a devotee once that he had read Prabhupada's Leela Amrita, and he got the idea that how Prabhupada established this movement. Prabhupada would go to every center and he would sit down with the devotees there and he would hammer out every single detail. Deity worship, deity dressing, prasadam distribution, book distribution, everything. Brahmacharis, everything, sanya, everything he used to figure out. So what this builder did was that he did the same thing. Each day of the week, he had 6 projects. Each day of the week, he would go to one project site. He was builder. He would build buildings. Each day he would go to one site, sit down with the managers there, and he would hammer out every detail. And on that day, no other site manager or people could call him. They could email him, but they could not call him or text him. He can call them if he needs information, but not them. So that's how he could just focus fully on that one project, right? And this way his business flourished. And he accredited all this to Srila Prabhupada. So if we are submissive, Krishna reveals the path to us, right? Only Krishna can supply this transcendental intelligence to us. We read in the preface to Nectar of Instruction that once we come to the mode of goodness, then the future path is illuminated to us. Right? So Prabhupada's purport here is, let me see. What is the Prabhupada saying? Oh yes, here. Sometimes the impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagavan or they accept his authority. Yet many liberated persons cannot understand Krishna as Purushottama, the supreme person. Now this is a very, this is something worth thinking about. 2 words are being used, Bhagavan and Purushottama. Okay. And Prabhupada is saying impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagavan. Right? But then still many liberated persons do not see him as Purushottama. So, difference between Bhagavan and Purushottama, it's very easy to, not very easy. It's easier comparatively to consider Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means he's full of opulence, right? Aishwarasya samagrasya virasya yashashreya jnana vairagyasya saditi sad bhaga itingana. This is in Vishnu Purana. It's given that that Bhagavan is one who's full of 6 opulences. Fame, wealth, renunciation, knowledge, beauty, and I'm missing one. Aishwarasya, Samagrasya, Virya. Sorry, what was that?
Wealth, right?
Wealth and strength. Yes, wealth. I said. I think strength. Yes, strength. So these 6. So a Bhagavan. The word Bhagavan means one who's full of opulences. So it's easier comparatively to consider somebody as full of opulence as a supreme person. Looking at him with awe and reverence. But Purushottama means supreme person. He's a person, he has likes and dislikes. That's hard for people to comprehend. When we tell somebody that there is a supreme personality and there is Krishna and he has his own abode where he's enjoying with his friends, family members, he goes out to tend his cows, and then in the evening he comes and he sits down and his mother feeds him with her own hands, and then then in the next day again, and he plays with gopis. It's very hard to comprehend that. That is why so Purushottama means that he has likes and he's a Purusha. Uttama, but he's also Purusha. So that's a play of word there. So I just wanted to, that's why I highlighted this section, because it's comparatively easier to understand Krishna as Bhagavan, but harder to understand him as Purushottama. That was clear to everybody? And there's another thing, okay, before I end this verse. Okay, so Prabhupada very aptly he's walking us through those 5 terms that I highlighted. So let's read this and try to understand this. Not try to understand this. Don't try to. I always, if you have seen that, what was the movie? Matrix. And stop trying to hit me and hit me. Morpheus says this to Neo. So we're not trying, we're actually doing it. So let's see now what Prabhupada is doing. Arjuna addresses him as Purushottama. So we just understood why he's called Purushottama. Yet one still may not understand that Krishna is the father of all living entities. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Bhuta Bhavana. And if one comes to know him as the father of all living entities, still one may not know him as the supreme controller. Therefore, he is addressed as Bhutesha. And even if one knows Krishna as supreme controller of all living entities, still one may not know that he is the origin of all the demigods. Therefore, he is addressed as Deva Deva. And even if one knows him as the worshipful god of all demigods, one may not know that he is the supreme proprietor of everything. Therefore, he is called Jagatpati. So please, this might sound confusing, but I request you all to read this at your leisure. Understand why Arjuna is using those 5 terms. And Prabhupada is very clearly telling us that each of those 5 terms have very specific meanings. Purushottama, Bhuta Bhavana, Bhuta Bhuteshu, Deva Deva. So please read this if you have not understood it, but if you have, very good. So, yes, Prabhu.
Well, I was asleep. So when I woke up, I'm trying to catch up to where I was last week, or where I've been this last week, traveling in this chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And now I would just like to say something to you and to the devotees that happened to me last week. When I went into reading this, I was so freaked out. Something happened, and like you're right, you say Arjuna is speaking now. Well, he's not just speaking, Prabhu. He's screaming. He's freaking out. He just saw the cricket player hit the most heavy run ever, and he's standing up in the bleachers screaming and freaking out because everything it just got revealed to him again. He's just so overjoyed. So he starts telling him right in the beginning of your lecture here, and he's freaking out right now. He's freaking out. I mean, this total exclamation, excitement, someone that's just trying to say everything in one word. You can't say it. So therefore, he's shouting it out with intensity from his heart, what this is all about. When I read into this, I was like freaking out. I said, oh my God, he's really, listen to him talking. How is he talking to Krishna? I can't talk like this to anyone. Who can talk to anyone about anything like this? No one can use these words. So this is a point right here of great excitement, of great grasping of the illumination of Krishna's potency. He is so intensified. And I got that feeling last week. I said, oh my gosh, listen to him. He's talking like this about Krishna. And so I was very, very excited. I'm still excited because as you started reading it, I started getting excited again because this is very, very special that he has to say this. Yeah, one can't understand this. One can't understand that. You just said that. And Prabhupada sums it up too. He's grabbing a hold of that to illuminate that the intensity of Krishna is spilling over here in such a beautiful way that it's defining that which is inconceivable, and trying to put it in this words. So it's exciting to me. Arjuna's excited. And so I'm just, just happy about this. I just wanted to share that. I can't hear you. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, no, this is yeah, very interesting topic you bring out. Yeah, he's not just saying it, he's screaming it out. He's very happy about it. He's overjoyed that he has had this realization that Krishna is the supreme and he's Krishna's friend. So that's yeah, that's why he's addressing him as Purushottama and all these things. He's excited. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, anybody else? Any more thoughts? Or we can move on to the next verse. Next verse, 16.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think this verse is one of the best verse we have come across, which really gives us the complete, total picture of Krishna as a supreme person, and in bits and bits, each of his upgrading opulences are explained. And once we understand that he is the proprietor of everything, then probably we are able to understand him as a Purushottama or Bhagavan, or all that he is, Bhutesh, Sarva Bhuteshu. So this I really liked, and it's very, very interesting to know each and every aspect of Krishna. Thank you for bringing this one.
Thank you. Yes. So when you read this section, you realize how Arjun is so specific. This is why I'm calling him Purushottama. This is why I'm calling him Bhuta Bhavana. Because Krishna, I want to encompass everything, even though it's not possible, but Krishna is giving it his best shot. Thank you. Okay, let's get on to 16. I think we have up to 19, I think, or no, probably 18, up to 18 Arjun speaks, and then there are a couple of verses that Krishna speaks before he starts speaking about his opulences. Let's see this. Vaktum arasi asheshena divya hi atma vibhutaya yabhir vibhutivir lokan imam stvam vyapsya tishtasi. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds, right? So how Krishna does what he does? I don't know. But Arjun is saying, I want to know. I would like to know more about Krishna. I know how he is, the way he is, right? The important question. Vaktum arhasi. Where's that? Vaktum arhasi is this part. He's saying Vaktu means to say, arhasi means you deserve. So that's an interesting way of you. You deserve to speak to me, Arjun is saying. Asheshena in detail. That's the way Krishna is putting it. Arjun is putting it. Please tell me in detail. So he's kind of putting in that arhasi means that you know that in one sense, you deserve to speak to me because, as we said earlier, Arjun is anasuyave. He's without envy, right? Idam tute ghuyatmam pravakshami anasuyave jnana vijnana sahitam yach gyatva mokshate subhat. That is the first verse of the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So that's what Arjun is saying. I want to know, and I can understand it's not easy to know you, but I still want to know. Going back to what Sankirtan Prabhu was saying, he's so excited about it. He wants to know. Krishna, I understand I will not be able to know, but you still tell him, right? So this is the first time the word Vibhuti comes in Bhagavad Gita. So he's saying, can you describe them to me? As Krishna knows best himself, so Krishna, you tell me. And understanding Krishna has nothing to do with our intellectual conquest. It's all about developing a natural attraction to Krishna. We can only request Krishna to reveal himself to us. So from here onwards, Arjun has accepted Krishna's conclusion. Arjun has become enlightened, but Arjuna is still thinking about common people, and he's thinking how will they understand Krishna's glories. So that's how this chapter further expands. This chapter, and like you can even say the Bhagavad Gita expands. That so at this point, Arjun has fully understood this. So let's see what Prabhupada is saying. Okay. Yes, as I was saying.
Haribo.
Haribol, Prabhu.
That's very important what you just said. We can't just that statement of intellectual conquest. I mean, this is this is a paramount in this whole process. I mean,
Yeah.
those two words are very nothing to do with intellectual conquest. It has to be understood only by how? Through this devotion, through Krishna's desire, Krishna's kindness. Like, well, why does he deserve it? Because it's his right as the supreme.
Yeah.
But this point that you said, you glean over that. Some of these words you use are just so direct that they have to be part of our vocabulary when we try to just talk to somebody, and
Yeah.
because it needs to spark them. Those two words are just intellectual conquest. Oh my God! Then what is it then? Because everything we do is by our intellectual conquest. In illusion, even though all the good qualities come from Krishna to begin with, we don't even give him credit for there until this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. So this is such a buildup of more intensity. So I just appreciate your words that's and I'm saying it just so that I can illuminate for the devotees, make them think intensely. Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Prabhu. You bring out a very good verse. There is in the prayers of Lord Brahma, 10th canto, 14th chapter, there is a very beautiful verse. He says, Jnane priyasya udapasya namanta eva, jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya vartam, sthane sthita shrutigatam tanuvan manobhir, ye prayaso ajita jito apitay strilokyam. So the word that I love that, but let me just open it. Give me 1 second. Show you 10:14, that's 10:14:3, I think. Yes. So let me share this and share. So yes, so the part that I like is Ajita Jito. So what Lord, and let's just read the translation. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, words, and mind, offer all respect to the descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. Krishna is Ajita, right? So the word Ajita means unconquerable. But then he also can be conquered. How? As Sankirtan Prabhu highlighted that, just when we offer our body, words, and minds to hearing Krishna's activities and dedicating our lives to these narrations, right? So hearing submissively and hearing with a deep desire. So that purifies us. That brings Krishna under our control. Not speculative knowledge, as Prabhupada said, throw away the process of speculative knowledge. Not speculative knowledge. There is no way Krishna can be understood by anybody who has pride in their heart and who thinks that, oh, I will figure out Krishna. That never happens. Krishna is, when we submissively approach Krishna, then even though if there is a pride in my heart, Krishna removes that pride. But if there is no submission, and if I am trying to understand Krishna through my speculative knowledge, through my intellect, Krishna doesn't come close. He says, you go enjoy and do whatever you feel like. But when a person sincerely approaches Krishna, then Krishna can break that pride, and that mirror gets cleaned up for us. Cheto Darpana Marjanam happens. This is 10:14:3 if somebody wants to keep track. But thank you, Prabhu, for bringing that out.
And and right here you go again. What you just did. Look at what happens here. What is perceivable, which is unperceivable. Who becomes a devotee of the devotee? But at the same time, we see here what has happened is the only way that Krishna can be conquered is only by his own words, which are divinely supreme. And when they're like you're saying, when they're vibrated by the devotee with that consciousness, or when they're vibrated by Krishna himself, he becomes conquered.
Yeah.
What is this? That, if you want to use the word again, is inconceivable.
Inconceivable. Yes. Yeah.
But it becomes the only way it can be just tasted or somewhat perceived is
Hmm.
if we just have some humility and some purity in this process. It becomes relishable. It becomes somewhat. We get a perspective. Oh my God, this is amazing. He, he is telling me he's saying right here, well, this is so beautiful, the vibration. I mean, and whoever vibrates this is coming from the Supreme, and however it is vibrated is the only way that the Supreme can be captured or
Yeah.
conquered. This is so beautiful. This is inconceivable, but it's so beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you for
You,
this.
you highlighted the point. Yes, by the pure devotees, which are vibrated by Krishna and by his pure devotees. So when a pure devotee speaks, his or her words, they come out of his mouth, go to Goloka, wrap around Krishna's feet, and then they come. That is why they have so much potency. They, in the so they have these so-called saffron particles that have been extracted from Krishna's feet. And that's when a sadhu speaks, that has so much value, that has so much power to it. So it's a pure devotee. When the pure devotee speaks, then we can, by pure devotee's mercy, we can conquer the unconquerable.
Beautiful.
Okay, so yes, okay, and then yes, one should know that this is being asked by Arjun on behalf of the common people. So as I mentioned, that Arjun is now fully satisfied. Okay, he has accepted Krishna's conclusion, but he's still asking questions on for behalf of the common people. 17. O Krishna, O supreme mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? So now this is a more specific question than the earlier one. Okay, so let's look at the earlier question, 16. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulence by which you pervade all the three worlds. But now this is more specific. Now you tell me, yes, you tell me those divine qualities by which you pervade, but then also tell me how by those divine qualities I can constantly think of you. How shall I know you? In what forms can I remember you? So now he's asking this question in more in-depth, some more in-depth question, right? So this basically is the verse where the whole concept of mindfulness begins. Now the whole world is freaking out about this concept of mindfulness, but this has already been explained in Bhagavad Gita. So now what Arjun is doing, he's asking about mindfulness, that how can I be mindful of you, Krishna, right? The problem with today's mindfulness is that people, they talk of mindfulness, but they don't know what the goal is of that mindfulness, right? When I'm driving a car, I have to be mindful of my surrounding, other people who are driving on the road, the light, etc. But then I have to be also sure about my destination, where I'm going. Right? So today the problem is that people are not made aware of the purpose, of the ultimate purpose of life, for which the mindfulness is being practiced. So many yoga centers out there, and not a single one tells about goal of yoga. All they teach is you come and stretch yourself, and you go home, and then you eat meat, and you do all sorts of nonsensical activities. But that's not yoga. The word yoga means to connect. The English word yoke, Y-O-K-E, that comes from yoga. It's originated from the word. So the word yoke means to connect. You yoke the bull to the cart, as they say, or the horse to the cart. I think. So yoga means to connect. Right? So now this is why Arjun is asking this question. Right? So what's first he wants to do is we become mindful of Krishna. We become aware of Krishna everywhere, that every Krishna is everywhere. Once we become aware of Krishna everywhere, then we become self-aware. Then we become aware of people around us. Then we become aware of this world and why it exists and all these questions. So in this way, what all nature is, keshu keshu cha bhaveshu. Arjuna is saying, keshu keshu cha bhaveshu. Keshu means in which, bhaveshu natures, but all the nature out there. So how can we understand what is all out there? First understanding Krishna, then we become self-aware. If I don't understand Krishna, how can I understand who I am? Because I am a part of Krishna, right? Mama ivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashashtani indriyani prakrti sthani karshati. That's the 8th chapter. No, sorry, 15.7. 15 chapter, verse number 7 of Bhagavad Gita. So, Krishna is everywhere. So until I don't understand Krishna, whose part and parcel I am, how will I understand who I am? How will I be aware of myself? So that is why Arjuna is asking this question, that Krishna, I want to understand. I want to be aware of you. Right? How can I be totally mindful of you? So the principle is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. I mentioned this principle early in the past, right? Smartavyo satatam Vishnu, vismartavyo na jatuchit, sarva vidhi nisheda sayad, etayor eva kinkara. There's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, Mahaprabhu is teaching to Sanatana Goswami, and he says, Smartavyo satatam Vishnu, vismartavyo na jatuchit. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That is the basic instruction of Bhakti Yoga. I am always shrouded in materialistic things. How do I remember Krishna? All the time. It is very difficult. So Krishna is going to tell us about many things in this world. Okay. So what happens when we become mindful of Krishna? We start perceiving that this world is a manifestation of Krishna's all attractiveness. So it's a manifestation of Krishna, even though it's in a very minuscule way, and also in a perverted way to some extent. But it is a manifestation of Krishna. Right? There was once what happened, Prabhupada, in 70s, you could practically walk to the airplane on the airports. Now, you can't even go close to, you just out in the outskirts of the airport. But in the 70s, you could practically walk up to the airport airplane to receive somebody. One devotee was taking pictures of Prabhupada, or he was scheduled to take pictures of Prabhupada, and every people were coming off the airplane, and the devotee saw the air hostess. The air hostess was very beautiful. And the devotee saw the air hostess, and he had his camera, and he was just looking at the air hostess. The air hostess came down the stairs. She was walking away, and the devotee just kept looking at her. And when he turned back, he saw Prabhupada standing in front of him. And he got scared. Oh my God, now Prabhupada is going to beat me up. Prabhupada smiled and said, just imagine if this air hostess is so beautiful, how beautiful is Krishna going to be? Who's the creator of this, of us, right? So when we become mindful of the art, we become mindful of the artist. So we may have to make that connection. We start seeing a connection of everything with Krishna, and that purifies us. Right now, I'm not seeing that connection. That is why everything is material. But the moment I see a connection, that very same thing becomes spiritualized. It becomes Krishnaized. Right? So that is why Arjuna is asking this question, that Krishna, I want to become fully mindful of you, then automatically everything around me will become spiritualized. This is verse number 17. Okay, let's see. Haribol Prabhu.
This is phenomenal. I mean, we're all preachers, so this is very phenomenal to understand this point, because we can see the history of this mindfulness. It's been here for, since the transcendentalists and everyone that cover the magazines is still, it's a key word. Everyone's mindful, and yeah. So the licking of the outside, though. So to get to the core, because just the other day I met the lieutenant governor, and they were all speaking about the antidote of the opioid crisis here in Baltimore, the city. And they're all speaking from their heart, trying to get to the antidote. And the antidote is in this room. These people trying, people caring. And if we look at some of the recovery template, the template recovery program is to, even like the narcotics NA and all that anonymous, the last thing of it is turn it all over to God. It's all goes to that, but it takes forever to get there, and everyone's talking about it, and some people don't even know this, what it comes to. And so I met this girl yesterday. I gave her a Bhagavad Gita 4 or 5 months ago. I told her about chanting. I said, you need to know this science, but she's very amazing. She's got a template for this structure that has to be explained, and she's speaking about getting the direct medicine right away, and having the whole program structured around that. not the dancing around and give them this and doing this and this and this, because they don't know. And
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, you see, we're sitting in this room. We're in this opulent library, and there's a beautiful room they dedicated to this program. And I told her, I can see people coming in here and you teaching them the Hare Krishna mantra. If you teach this mantra, you don't have to do anything except teach them this mindfulness. This is
Mm.
the key to mindfulness. You start here at the perfect key, and don't worry, it will illuminate. It will do all its work if you do it just sincerely. And I said, we got a plan now. And you know, she was talking about working with different organizations, but she says, I want to start my own. She goes, I've been doing this for 14 years, outlining it. She's a youngster. She's real young. She's like a little genius. And she appears like, you know, someone with half a brain or something until you, and you know, and she goes, Hare Krishna. She says, I had that Bhagavad Gita on my bedstead. But this is the thing. The mindfulness. This is the key to us as preachers. Is we have to really see that we do have the gold. We have the fountain of youth that what his name was looking for in the Far East. He came looking for eternal youth, and he's looking for spices and everything. You know, Marco Polo. No. The ultimate goal that we have to have here is Chaitanya Marjanam Marjanam, the holy name. For this age is that is the key to the mindfulness. And sometimes you can't throw the pearl before the swine, so you humbly just say, okay, just close your eyes and listen to the ancient sound, and just try to give the sound a chance, you know, and it can work. It does work. It shall work. But you know, when you say this, the mindfulness, this is a key to all of us as devotees with this Bhagavad Gita and our understanding. Yeah, we become mindful only because the Pied Piper led us down the road, Srila Prabhupada. You know,
Yeah.
we had nothing to even come to understand. And so what you're saying is, you know, always remember Krishna, never forget him. But these people are trying to crawl up a pole or go up a path without knowing what they're really trying to, where they're coming from or going. Some do, but they don't really have it pinpointed either.
Yeah.
You know, there might be different levels of these realizations, as it was explained here. Arjuna put Krishna in every one of those slots. You know, so one who really understands, or at least just has this perspective, we can go and we can do something. So I told that girl, yeah, you're starting your own nonprofit. Yes, you're going to do this. I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to teach you everything, and I'll help you, and I'll help you with that template, because that will have so much potency. That's just like when I was in the college. All I gave him was the holy name. I told him this is the way to deal with stress. This is the way to do concentration. This is the mindfulness. This is the real mindfulness. I didn't call it mindfulness as much as trying to get them to get their medicine to just help them with the little thing. What's in it for me? Okay, get it. What's in it for me? Because the real you is a spirit anyhow, and you haven't gotten there yet. So we'll start chipping away with the right mantra, and you'll get there. You know, so this is so important. Mindfulness, as you said, it's a key word and very important. And it's important for us to try to use that. And you're going to be part of this experiment with this girl. You're going to be her teacher because she's going to start coming to the temple. She moved closer to the temple, and because we got to indoctrinate and show her how to drive the car amongst these people. She's black body. She's been navigated all over the place. So this is a way that this explosion. She speaks divine words from the Bhagavad Gita that was blowing my mind the other day. I said, what kind of? Oh my God! I just thought to myself, that's a divine revelation she just threw at me. You know. So this is what we're doing here. What Prabhupada has done to us. We just have to take it and share it. You know, and like you're saying, you're exposing this so that we know what we're doing. I'm just thankful, you know. Here we go again. This is amazing, beautiful knowledge that Arjuna is seeing and showing us, and now Krishna is going to expand on it more and more. So we should be excited. Okay, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. 17. Okay, so let's go to 18. O Janardhan, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I'm never satiated in hearing about you, but the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. Right? So So now Arjun is kind of saying again and again, oh, I want to know this, I want to know this. Now Krishna must be thinking in his mind that you want to know my opulences? You want to know how should I be meditative upon? Arjun is restating that. Yes, I want to know. But now he gives a reason behind it, right? Krishna is thinking, oh, I've talked about my opulences in the past chapters, Rasoham Apsu Kanteya Prabhashmi Jasi Shureo, Purnava Sarva Vedeshu, Sabdakhe Paurusham, the 7th chapter and all that. But you still want to hear more about it. So that's the excitement that Sangeeta Prabhu was mentioning. That's the excitement that Arjun has. He says, yes, I want to more. I'm craving to know more, Krishna. Right? By telling that little things earlier in the past, you have left me hungry and for more. Right? So that's what Arjun is doing here. Right? So he's saying that I'm never satiated in hearing about you. The more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your word. So you have left me thirsty for more knowledge. Right? So now, in Prabhupada makes some good statements here. He quotes this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Vayam tu na vitripayama uttama shloke vikrame yach shrunvatam rasa jnanam swadu swadu pade pade. One can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastime of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the description of the pastimes of the Lord. Yeah. So people are not satiated by it. So pure devotees, they are never satiated. Right? They relish every single description of the Lord. Right? Then Prabhupada goes on to say, as far as Amritam, nectar is concerned, any narration or statement concerning Krishna is just like nectar. And this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Now, this is an important phrase Prabhupada is using. Practical experience. And what does it mean? That we can relish nectar by practical experience. Right? So, practical experience is, and actually, in the Brahma Samhita, there is a verse which says, Pramanes tat sadachare yad abhyase nirantaram bodhyam atmanatmanam bhaktim api uttamam labhe. That highest degree of devotion is attained by constant endeavor for self-realization, right? With the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice, in what we are practicing, right? So, that's the way practical experience, right? When we bring these things, scriptural evidence, we read scriptures, we believe in the scriptural evidence, we are self-realized by that, by conducting according to what the scriptures are telling us, theistic conduct, and being patient in our practice, perseverance. Those are the three most important things. Pramanes, Achare, Abhyasa. Three things in Lord Brahma is telling us in Brahma Samhita. That's how we attain the highest degree. That's how it's by practical experience that it comes to us. The outcome of doing these activities is Cheto Darpanam Marjanam, cleaning of our heart. Right? So,
what are the three things again?
It's Pramanes, Praman, Achar. Let me open up the verse. Sorry. I might be mixing up something. It's in Brahma Samhita. It's towards the end of Brahma Samhita. Let's see. I think which verse is that? 59th verse of Brahma Samhita. And let me share the screen. It says 559. So Pramanes tat sadachare tad abhyase nirantaram bodhyam atmanatmanam bhakti apyuttamam. The three things are scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in our practice. So evidence, and this the purport is by Bhakti Sastri Thakur. He's saying that the evidence is devotional scriptures. The theistic conduct is conduct of pious persons who are pure devotees, and conduct of those pious persons who practice devotion to Godhead actuated by spontaneous love. And then practice to learn about the basic principles from the Shastras, receive the name of Hari through a guru, and then there's a practice of chanting. So they're giving, these are the practical ways by which we can experience bhakti. So that's what I was highlighting here. Praman, that is scriptural evidence. Achar, that's theistic conduct. Abhyasa, perseverance in practice. 559.
Okay, before you go a little, before we leave this, I want to just, can you go back up for a second here? And
Yes,
look
Prabhu.
at here, keep going up, right here, because this is our life. This is my life. This is my nightmare. This is the whipping stone of my existence is here.
Mhm.
And I'm always trying to find it. And here it is. The 10 offenses to the holy name, okay, cease by serving the name of Hari, simultaneously practicing pious conduct. What we're doing here is the key to getting the nectar, of getting past the 10 offenses. Because every time Prabhupada said, and the teaching of Lord Chaitanya did this, Lord Chaitanya was like this, and Prabhupada said, one must know that he was chanting without offense. So how do we do this? We have to keep this in the foreground of all of our activities, is to keep this perspective. The 10 offenses. When you showed me this a while back, I read this and I highlighted this and I meditated and I kept going back and back and back and back and back and back and back. And you just brought it up again, and it was like I never heard it. But I don't want the devotees to miss this little key that you scraped right here to a transcendental gem. It's so special of what we're doing. We got to make some sense out of what we're doing. And this is the sense, the highest sense is coming from some entity that lives millions of years compared to any of us. And he's exposing something. And it's so his exposing is coming from Vaikuntha man, Bhakti Siddhanta, and he is so complex that every word he writes is usually a paragraph. But thank God this was at least decipherable, and with my stupidity, that I could say, oh yeah, okay, how do I get rid of the 10 offenses? How do I get rid of them? How do we get rid of them, my dear devotees? This is a key right here. Oh my God. Practice the name by chanting him night and day. Kirtaniya Sadhari. And you know, this is so beautiful. This is the key. If we can remember this, you know, what is my life is the lack of remembrance. My life is the lack of being able to grab hold of these transcendental gems and bring them to fruition. But this is, you know, here it comes again. So wake up tomorrow when you chant. You know, remember today you practiced. Today you did practical application. Practical application is our devotional service. Practical application is you spending your time reading this to us, and us spending our time trying to squeeze the nectar out of what we're doing. We're taking this time because something has to make sense. And as it gradually progresses, it gets just more beautiful. This is you created a monster. Now I know why Vaisheshika said, you know, Prabhupada told us we got to read this Brahma Samhita every day.
Yeah.
This is not to be taken lightly what Prabhupada's trying to do to us.
Yeah.
This is a PhD though. This is so much heaviness in this Brahma Samhita that you're lucky if you can catch one word and make some sense out of it, you know. But
Yeah,
thank you.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's English was very high level. Yeah,
Super hybrid.
super high grade. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes. So, and by perseverance and in such practice and devotion, what happens? Characterized by love, which is the fruit of spiritual endeavor, makes appearance in the pure essence of the soul. So, by doing these activities, which are by practical experience, then the love will come in our heart. That's what Prabhupada is saying, that this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. That's what Prabhupada is highlighting here. In this way, the reading material remains forever fresh despite repeated readings. I just always feel amazed, you know, that we say this, and I always ask this question: how can it remain fresh forever? You know, how can reading remain forever fresh? So, I asked many senior devotees and also understood this, that this freshness that is being talked about. Well, freshness can be at a material level and also at a spiritual level, right? The material level newness is material. So in the material world, there's nothing new, right? We say news, but it's not news. It's just old things happening to new people all the time, right? So so all that material entertainment that we see is just a painkiller. It's nothing new there, right? We have to keep on increasing the intensity of the medicine to get little tiny pleasure out of it. This punha punas charvita charvananam, as Prahlad Maharaj said to us, right? We keep increasing the intensity. That is so that we can get a little bit of pleasure because of the emptiness that is in us, right? We need to take the medicine that will cure us permanently. Right? So, like, and that is the katha, Krishna katha that he's saying, that Krishna is mentioning here, right? So when a devotee loves Krishna, that love itself brings newer and newer joys, right? And one example that I heard and I could relate to this was many a times, like we have children, right? So when children are young, you used to see, oh, your son or daughter's a dress lying somewhere, and you start thinking about your son. Oh, my daughter wore this dress, or my son wore this dress, and suddenly find newer joy in there. There's nothing new about it. It's just a piece of a cloth. But because you're connecting that piece of cloth to the child, that brings newer and newer joys to you. That you're able to relish it more. So it's the love behind that particular reading, or the emotion or the intensity with which we are reading, that makes it new and new every time. And another perspective is that the speakers of Krishna Katha, they make it more relishable for us, right? So Prabhupada has said that realization means to speak things in a way that it is attractive to the listener, right? So so that's why how it remains new and new all the time. When we develop love for Krishna, then whatever we read, it becomes new and new every time. Just like we know when a boy falls in love with a girl, he's always thinking about that. He never stops about it. It's always in his mind. And same for a girl falling in love with a boy. They're always thinking, they don't get bored of it. Why? Because it's coming from a platform of love. So it's therefore everything becomes new and fresh when it's coming from a perspective of love towards Krishna. So that's what the newness means. That's why I just wanted to highlight that. And we have to learn to relish these vibhutis that Krishna is going to tell us as we move forward. That's how they are always remaining fresh, because they're coming from Krishna. They never grow old. Many of you have been chanting for many decades, but we have never got frustrated or satiated of that chanting. Why? Because it's coming from a transcendental platform, and we're trying to connect to Krishna on a spiritual level, on a basis of love. So then it never becomes stale for us. It always remains fresh.
Haribol.
Haribol, Prabhu.
Yeah, that in this way, reading remains forever fresh, despite repeated reading. This is the living scripture, alive with divine potency. It's ever increasing as an ocean of sweetness.
Yeah.
So we just go on tasting and tasting and tasting. But if there's an ocean, and it's all based on that, because what we do is have this mundane vocabulary. But when we dovetail it with the Supreme, then it becomes so divinely opulent, so divinely tasty, and it's an ocean that we're standing there talking about. And so it just gets more deep and beautiful. The taste keeps going. The taste never ends, and Krishna's ever increasing. So is this nectar of exposure. This is something divine and alive, and that's why the vibrations of the Bhagavatam is so inconceivably potent, because we're tasting, and it's coming from an ocean. What's his name? The Maharaj you liked that passed away on the Gaur Govinda.
Gaur Govind Swami.
Yeah, he always said swimming deep in the ocean and getting these pearls. This is one of the amazing pearls of our spirituality, is that it remains forever fresh. How can anyone say that? I tasted it all the time. It's gone stale now. I've got all the juice out of it. No, not with the divine energy. This is so beautiful. Yeah, it tastes.
Taste. Thank you, bro. Okay, and now Krishna will start speaking. So there are 2 verses before he gets into his opulences. So we can wrap these up. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjun, for my opulence is limitless. Hanta. So the word here, Arjun, Krishna is speaking, Hanta, yes. Yes is more like it's an expression of endearment, like towards Arjun. Krishna is saying, Hanta, yes, I'll tell you, so like as if saying it to a close relative or close friend. Yeah, I'll tell you, yes, yes. And so it's an expression of joy, delight. And ye katheshyami, te katheshyami. So I will speak, yes. Divya hi atma vibhuti hai. Atma vibhuti. Atma vibhuti means my glories, my opulences that are divine, divya, right? But when I'll speak, what is good that I'm going to speak is pradhanayata. So the word pradhanayata means is principle. And Prabhupada brings this out in the purport also. The word pradhanayata is because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord, for his features are unlimited. So that's the good point. Pradhanayata, the word pradhanayata is important here, right? So nasti anto vistrasyame, that my glories are endless, right? So the Vedanta Sutra says eko bahusham. So bahusham means Supreme Lord has expanded in many to engage in a loving relationship, right? So Krishna is now going to talk about his vibhutis. This is for remembering Krishna all the time, right? We talked about always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, right? So the reason we are reading this section of vibhutis is so that we never forget Krishna, for remembering Krishna all the time. Another reason for remembering this is, reason one, so that we can remember Krishna all the time. The reason two, we all have tiny vibhutis, right? You all have some quality in you, right? But the problem is that when we realize that vibhuti within us, we forget Krishna. When we have excellence, and we suddenly, oh, I'm good at doing this, then I forget Krishna and say, oh, this is my vibhuti. So how I can connect my tiny vibhuti to Krishna, so that I can remember Krishna. So this will also be accomplished by this. That's the second reason. Third reason is to see our insignificance and feel genuine gratitude towards Krishna. Right? All this great grand establishment arrangement in this world is for us to help us establish a relationship with Krishna. Then we have gratitude. Right? They're living entity. As living entities, we are attracted to so many things across the world. So, but Krishna is going to tell us his vibhutis, and he's saying that the attraction in this world is just a spark of my splendor. It's just a part of me, a tiny part of me. To the extent we get attracted to these things, to the extent we will not be diseased, will not be affected by Maya. Right? So meaning of the word vibhuti is bhuta. Bhuta means existence. Brahma bhuta, right? There was this word Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shuchati na kamshati. That comes in the 18th chapter, sorry. But yeah, so Brahma bhuta means existence. So vibhuti, vibhuta. The word vi means vishesha bhuta. So vishesha bhuta. So special existence or manifestation in this world. That's what Krishna is going to tell us. That's what Krishna is going to ask us here. So Prabhupada is giving us a few things here. Here, important thing Prabhupada brings out. The senses of the individual soul are limited and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. Thus, the devotees enjoy them. So, we are not listening or reading again and again to understand. Oh, I'll try to understand Krishna fully. No, that's not the goal here. It's just relishment. Is to enjoy it. We will never be able to understand Krishna completely. Okay, but the principle is that we are able to understand Krishna. That the topics are relishable. They are nectarian to us. That's why we want to hear and discuss them, right? Not to fully understand Krishna. We cannot fully understand Krishna ever. It's beyond our scope. Our tiny intelligence cannot do that. Right? So that is why we need to understand Krishna's vibhutis. Okay? So, and then let's see what else Prabhupada is saying. Vibhuti means exceptional opulence. Okay. Pantheists cannot understand the exceptional opulence of the Supreme Lord. Okay. The word pantheist is an interesting word, Prabhupada used. The word pantheist means somebody, if I give you a literal meaning, pantheist means believing in many gods. But in a more generic sense, if you see it, pantheist means who sees God in everything. Like, you know, you might have seen some people, they come to the temple, they pay obeisances to everything, the pillar, the flower, everything. So there are many things that we pay obeisances to also, but we don't pay them thinking that they are God. We pay them obeisances thinking that they are a manifestation of Krishna's opulence. So it's not, some people, you know, they make fun of us saying that, oh, you you pray to a pig. Yeah? Which avatar was that?
Raha, boar.
Yes, boar. Yes, the boar. So some people say, oh, you pray to a boar. No, we're not praying to a boar. We are praying to Krishna, who has manifested himself as a boar. I don't smell a flower and so I put flower to my head that as if flower is God. No, I am appreciating and respecting and showing my gratitude towards Krishna by accepting his remnants, what he has enjoyed. The flower, he has smelled the flower. He has, that water has been offered to him. You know, that arti has been offered to him. It's not that the arti is God and I'm you know, putting the arti on my head. No. So that's something to understand here. The pantheism, when I start doing that, you know, people, they're paying obeisances to the door, the wall, everything. That's pantheism. That's not an understanding of God. The right understanding is that I respect Krishna, or I respect everything that is a manifestation of Krishna. But I see Krishna in them, not necessarily the manifestation. Not necessarily saying that, oh, this manifestation is everything. No, it's the divine energy behind it that is being appreciated. So just wanted to highlight that. And yeah, some people can, I can think of like my elder brother as my father. You know, so there's a saying in India, oh, that elder brother is like a father. But it's not like he's my father actually. It's just that, you know, I see him as a reflection of my father. I see him as a manifestation of that energy of my father. That's how I'm seeing it. So that's just a vague example. The last one, we'll try to wrap this up. Here, Arjun and Krishna is saying, I'm the super soul of Arjun, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I'm the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. So now the reason now Krishna is bringing this concept of super soul here is to let Arjun know that Arjun, you know, it's my expansion of my expansion that all this manifestation is. I'm not directly, this is not my direct manifestation. It's not me directly. So just imagine if an expansion of my expansion is so attractive and magnificent. Imagine what I will be. That is why Krishna is bringing the concept of super soul here. So we know that, right? The three Purusha, and Prabhupada, I think, brings this as in the later in the purport. He talks of the three Purusha avatars. You know, the Karnodakshay, Garbhodakshay, Shirodakshay, Vishnu, just to give us a flavor of that how a material manifestation comes into being. There is Karnodakshay ocean. This Karnodakshay Vishnu, he's lying in the ocean. He's lying in the world, the Mahatattva, and then from him many universes are coming. Then in each universe, Garbhodakshay Vishnu goes. From his navel comes out Vishnu, Brahma, then the 14 planetary systems, and then in everybody's heart, Shirodakshay Vishnu comes and sits. So, so that's how that's the whole process. Yeah, so that's how the whole process works. Yeah, so so expansion of an expansion of Krishna is doing it. That's why he brings this concept of here super soul. Krishna is bringing that. Krishna is calling Arjun a Gudakesha. So Gudakesha means somebody who has conquered sleep and also conquered ignorance. So that is why Krishna is speaking this to Arjun. Right? because Arjun has conquered ignorance. And Prabhupada gives here, Arjun is above such darkness, therefore Krishna has agreed to describe his various opulences. Okay, let me see anything else in the purport. No. Okay, so 21 will start next week. Here Krishna will start speaking about his opulences. I am the Adityas and the Vishnu and light of the sun and all that. I'll not start this here. We have a minute. Anybody has any comments, thoughts, criticism? No? Okay. We'll wrap up then. We'll get back next week and we'll start the opulences of Krishna.